Hello, my crafty friends. Today I have some quick and simple thank you card ideas to share featuring a one-sheet wonder template. Now, this template will make it so easy for you to cut up an entire piece of 12 by 12 inch patterned paper to create 9 different cards. And the best part is there will not be any leftover scraps. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, you will learn how to make 9 thank you cards from one 12 by 12 inch sheet of patterned paper. Plus, I will also give you 2 different design ideas. Now, the thank you cards featured in this video showcase the fun patterned papers from the Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper pack. So this is a new paper pack that is coming out in the Stampin' Up! 2020 mini catalog. Now, of course, you don't have to limit yourself to just thank you cards, as the one-sheet wonder cards featured in this video can be used for just about any occasion. The possibilities really are endless. By the end of this video, you will have some quick and simple cards to make with any 12 by 12 inch piece of patterned paper that you have on hand. Just get creative with it. For the latest card making ideas, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click on that little bell so you will be notified each time I upload a new video. Now, the Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper featured in this video can really be used to create cards for just about any occasion. Leave me a comment below and let me know what occasion you would use this patterned paper to create cards for. Okay, so first let's talk about the supplies you will need to create these cards. So I am going to be using 2 different pieces of patterned paper from the Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper pack. So this is a new paper pack that will be coming out in the Stampin' Up! 2020 mini catalog. So I will be using this patterned paper, and I'm going to be using this piece of patterned paper. Now, this is the pattern paper that I'm going to show you how to make the cards with. And there's a special way that we have to cut out this paper so that we can get these full poppies, this full design here, on our card front. So we will be creating 9 cards from each of these pieces of patterned paper. I will also be using some Blackberry Bliss and black cardstock for the base of my cards. Of course, I will also be using some white cardstock. We will also be doing a bit of embellishing with the new Peaceful Poppies elements. And I will be using the thank you from the Peaceful Moments stamp set. We will also be doing some embossing, so you will need some Versamark. And you will need some white embossing powder, an embossing buddy, and a heat tool. And the last thing I'll be using is just a bit of white baker's twine. Okay, I think that's it. Let's get started. Okay, so first we'll start by cutting the 12 by 12 inch piece of patterned paper. Now, this particular piece of patterned paper must be cut a certain way to ensure that your card front is covered with these beautiful poppies. So we will start by cutting the patterned paper into 2 strips that measure 5 1/4 by 12 inches. So to do this, line up the stems of the poppies on one side of the paper at the 5 1/4 inch mark and make the cut. Then turn the paper around and line up the other stems that are on the other side of the paper at the 5 1/4 inch mark and make the second cut. Once you have the 2 strips of patterned paper cut, take one of the 5 1/4 by 12 inch strips and line up the end of the 12 inch side in your paper trimmer and cut it at 4 inches. Then repeat this measurement again, so you're going to cut another piece at 4 inches. So you should end up with 3 pieces measuring 5 1/4 by 4 inches from this one piece of patterned paper. Now you're going to repeat this cutting technique with the other 5 1/4 by 12 inch strip. So once the entire 12 by 12 inch piece of patterned paper is cut, you will end up with 6 pieces of patterned paper measuring 5 1/4 by 4 inches. However, you still have that 1 1/2 by 12 inch strip of paper left. So simply cut it into 3 pieces that are 4 inches long. So you will end up with 3 pieces that measure 1 1/2 by 4 inches, and you can use those pieces to create 3 more cards. And if you enjoyed this one sheet wonder cutting technique, be sure to check out some of my other videos featured in the playlist at the top of the screen. Okay, now that we have the pattern paper cut, let's prep the rest of our supplies. So you're going to start by cutting 9 card bases. Now you're going to cut 6 using Blackberry Bliss cardstock, and you're going to cut 3 using basic black cardstock. So the card bases measure 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and they are scored in the middle at 4.25 inches. Now the final bit of prep that we need to do is a bit of stamping. But not just any stamping, we are going to do a little bit of heat embossing. So first, you're going to rub the embossing buddy across the cardstock that you plan to emboss. So in this case, I am using Blackberry Bliss. Now the embossing buddy helps to reduce static so that the embossing powder doesn't stick to places that we don't want it to stick. So once you have prepped your cardstock, you're going to stamp the thank you greeting all across the Blackberry Bliss cardstock using Versamark ink. So you want to leave a little bit of space in between each of the thank you greetings so that we can cut them out with the coordinating label die that comes in the set. Now if you don't have the label die, you can certainly use a punch or even cut these out by hand. Now once you have stamped all of the greetings with Versamark, sprinkle them with white embossing powder and be generous with the powder so that you cover all of the Versamark. Then tap off the excess powder and heat to set. Now be sure to use a special heat tool that is designed for embossing. Once the embossing is complete, cut out all of the greetings with the die or your favorite punch shape. Okay, now that we have our paper cut and we have prepped all of the supplies, we are ready to assemble the cards. Okay, so first we're going to adhere the 5.25 by 4 inch pieces of pattern paper to the 6 different Blackberry Bliss card bases. Once you have them all adhered, you can go ahead and adhere the embossed thank you labels to the card front using a few dimensionals. And would you believe that's it? How easy was that? This is such a quick and simple card design and a great way to use up your pattern paper. Okay, the last 3 cards feature the 1.5 by 4 inch pieces of the pattern paper that were left over from cutting out those larger pieces. So we're going to start with a 5.25 by 4 inch piece of white cardstock, and we're simply going to adhere the pattern paper directly in the center of the cardstock. Now we're going to do a bit of embellishing with some of the new Peaceful Poppies elements. So we're going to start by embellishing the top part of the pattern paper with a little floral embellishment. Then I'm going to add a little black lace trim embellishment to the bottom part of the pattern paper. Once that was complete, I wrapped a bit of twine around the entire piece of white cardstock and tied it into a little bow. Then I embellished the center of the card with an embossed greeting. Now for these cards, I actually embossed the greeting on some black cardstock and then I cut it out by hand. Now cutting out the greeting by hand is one of the hot trends right now in card making, and it's very simple to do. Simply take your scissors and go around the entire greeting, kind of creating like a little bubble around the greeting. And you don't have to be perfect about it. Once you have your greeting cut out, then simply embellish the center of the card with your greeting. So this time we are using some black cardstock for the base of our card. All right, once you have the white cardstock all decorated, you can go ahead and adhere it to the base of your card. And there you go. Now you can make 2 more cards like this using the leftover pieces of pattern paper and a few more of those Peaceful Poppies elements. Now you can use this same One Sheet Wonder template with any pattern paper that you have on hand. So here's another example of a few cards that I created with the same cutting template. I just used a different piece of one of the Peaceful Poppies pattern papers. So for these cards, I simply created a focal point on the front of the card using a black scallop circle and a white stitched circle. The circles are embellished with a little Peaceful Poppy element and the greeting, which is cut out by hand. And that's it. It's just another quick and simple card design, and a great way to decorate the 5 1/4 by 4-inch pieces of patterned paper. And here are the other 3 cards that I created with the 1 1/2 by 4-inch pieces of leftover paper. So I created them in the same way that I shared with you earlier. It's just a different piece of pattern paper. Now you have some quick and simple one-sheet wonder card ideas that you can create with any stamp set or any pattern papers that you have on hand. Just get creative with it. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the cards shared here today. Have fun getting creative. Take care, and I'll see you soon.